Fabulous fabric from the land of the Five Rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
What's going on?
Yes, sir.
We back, man. And the Raiders finally make a decision at GM, general manager, man. But it was not what everybody expected. Everybody was expecting, Champ at Dodge, you know what I mean? Tom Telesco came through and just snatched it. He just snatched the spot just like that. He just came on Monday. He's like, let me just show up on Monday. Mark, we'll have a conversation. But we'll get into all that, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell. We going live on both our channels, so you want to make sure you go ahead and subscribe to both channels. As you can see, the Severe Raider. Go ahead and check him out as well. Subscribe to my guy. And for me, road to 4K continues, man. I'm trying to get there, man. Hopefully we can get there soon. But man, I see everybody in the chat, man. I'm not gonna keep y'all waiting, man. I appreciate everybody's patience. A super Omnicron guy, he just came through and was like, hey, man, hiring Champ Kelly as GM would have been the third straight chummy relationship with head coach. First Gruden, Mayock, then McDaniel, Ziegler. We all saw how that happened, I guess he was trying to say. Let's give Telesco the benefit of the doubt. Hey, man, great point. Great
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
man.
nah, man. He came through swinging. He came out the corner throwing haymakers. He didn't
Barry
take no
Bonds,
time to
man,
warm
at
up
the
or
at
nothing,
bat, he
man.
Barry Bonds just came through and just man. But I feel
Man,
you. I feel it though, man. I agree to because at the end of the day, like even Mark Davis said it in his interview a couple months back with I think it was The Athletic, where he pretty much was like, "Hey, look, at the end of the day, it was already understood that Ziegler had final say, but it wasn't my fault. It's not my fault that he didn't act on that power. He didn't. So that tells you Ziegler wasn't. He didn't have the balls to tell McDaniels no. No means
exactly.
no.
Nah, facts. Yeah, man. When you have those chummy relationships, man, like you said, sometimes it can be a little too close, man. So it's good to have that separation of powers right there.
Yep. My guy Robert Penny always coming through supporting. He says, Pharaoh, I'm not too sure with the GM hiring, but keeping my fingers crossed, man. Hey, that's all we can do, man. At the end of the day, we watch the game just like everybody else. We can only hope that everything works out. But we'll talk about it in a second, man. Raider Way is in the building, man. Salute, Pharaoh. Hey, man, appreciate you coming through. My God dodges everything. He wants to get it started already. I got you. You know what? I got you even better, man.
You gotta get an AP line.
I got you even better.
Give him the AP. Give him the AP.
Hey, man, hopefully we're gonna be seeing a lot of that next season. The only bad thing is that we gotta wait for it, but it's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Hey, look, Raider Wolf wants to get it started. He says, "Bro, this whole AP shit is way out of control. The brother ain't even all that. Raider Nation tripping, less than average head coach, but they chanting AP. Whoo, damn. Damn, Raider Wolf. Hey, Raider Wolf is staying true to his name, man. He's coming here just like, hey, ruthless.
He came with the sniper rifle right there. Like, dang.
Yeah, man.
Brother ain't coached he ain't had a full offseason yet.
Yeah, man. Dominique 5 says Telesco wasn't on anybody's radar. Everyone wanted Dodge and Champ. Facts. Everybody wanted either Dodge or Champ or both. My guy Digital Press comes through, man. His rare appearance time. He salute to everyone. Appreciate you, my guy. Linnell, one of my day ones. Linnell Walker. Appreciate you coming through, man. Hey, man. He got the special edition. I remember I gave you that special edition hat, man. That PharoahNFL special edition. I need to make some more of those, man. But Steve DeLuna says salute everyone. Hey, appreciate everybody coming through, man. The chat is already on fire right now. But yeah, salute to everybody that's pulling up. Salute to Raider Nation. Man, let's just get into it, man. Like, hey, look, the Raiders finally made their decision. Like I said in the beginning of the show, hey, look, they finally made that decision. We were waiting for it. We thought it was going to be before the head coach, which, hey, my guy Mark Davis, he did say that he wanted to do that, but he didn't. He's not a man of his word, man. Come on, man. Like,
he did say that, man. He did say that, and that's what we would have all have liked to have happened. But you know what? We'll get into that later.
But let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. Look, my guy. Hey, look. At the end of the day, my guy. I shouldn't say my guy, Tom Telesco. He former Charger. At this point, like I'm still filling him out right now. He's a division rival right now. But he's a familiar face across the field. You know what I mean? He was with the Chargers. What are your thoughts, man? Early thoughts on Tom Telesco hiring?
So my initial thoughts were, I hated it. Not gonna lie. My initial thoughts were, you wouldn't like I don't know how many people here watch Star Wars, but when they people know the meme with like Darth Vader, like no, like that's
yeah.
Because that was my initial thoughts. Yeah. But after I calmed down a little bit, and the hire makes a lot of sense, man. The hire makes a lot of sense. Not only from what Omnicron was saying, where you don't want that, you want the GM and coach to have a good working relationship. You don't want them to be like too buddy there. And then Mark Davis said initially, in that same Tashawn Reed interview that you referenced a little bit when he talked about, wanting to hire GM first, he also talked about how initially he made the mistake of hiring a rookie GM and a rookie head coach, and how he didn't want to make that same mistake again. Now, we thought he was going to kind of go around that by hiring a president of football operations to kind of oversee things, but it looks like instead of doing that, he just hired an experienced GM. And if you look at Tom Telesco's track record, he's a good talent evaluator. That is undeniable. Where he's had issues in the past is hiring head coaches, and Mark Davis kind of gave him an end around with that because he already has the head coach in place. So that's a mistake he can't make because there's already one here. So
right.
I've warmed up to it. Man. What do you think about it? What were you thinking? I kind of talked a lot there.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie. Let me move this real quick. But let me see if I can. This. Man, my bad. Something is just bugging me right now. But look, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was hoping for Champ Kelly and Ed Dodds. I was hoping for that combo. You know what I mean? Maybe Dodds was probably going to be the GM, and then Champ Kelly was going to be in the building in some sort of role, because I know that it wasn't going to be like a 2-man type of deal. Someone's going to have to make the final decision. But I can't ignore. I like Dodds. There's that potential with Dodds. You know what I mean? I thought it was a match made in heaven. He had the Raider. He was a Raider scout to start his career. He started with the Raiders. He was part of, building the Legion of Boom with Seattle, and then obviously the Colts. He played that part in, bringing in and drafting some of the talent over there. Obviously, he was assistant GM. He wasn't the final decision maker, but I'm sure he had a voice in that room when bringing in talent in the building. And I thought it was going to work, man. But you know what? I understand it. It does make sense. It does make sense that Mark Davis wants to go with experience with a rookie head coach. He pointed out Dennis Allen and Reggie McKenzie that was a big flaw in that whole scenario, because if you remember, after Dennis Allen was fired, Reggie McKenzie didn't make any head coach hirings after that.
No.
The next 2 hirings was Del Rio and John Gruden, all made by Mark Davis. So that it was destined to not work out after that. The Dennis, he hated it. You could tell he hated that hiring. But anyways, my point is that, like, I get the experience, but it's just like, oh man, did it have to be a former Charger GM? You know what I mean? It could have went. It could have came from anywhere else. But that being said, it makes sense. You pair an experienced GM with a rookie head coach. I get it 100%. But my thing is that, like, if Ed Dodds ends up going to the Chargers, which it seems like there's a connection there, because I believe the first time around they were saying that Ed Dodds was being paired with Jim Harbaugh when Mark Davis hired McDaniels and Ziegler. Ed Dodds was paired with Jim Harbaugh because at that time Mark Davis wanted to pair GMs and coaches that got along with each other. So I was just like, so there might be a connection there. And if he goes to the Chargers and they start drafting, man, who knows, man? I'm just speculating at this point. But, like, hey, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I wasn't super excited. I was shocked. But does it make sense? Yes. I'm hoping that some of his shortcomings with the Chargers is covered up by the Raiders, meaning that, like, okay, a lot of people like to bring up the fact that some of his contracts were bad with the Chargers. They're, he's not going to be negotiating contracts. Tom Delaney, I believe, is the guy for the Raiders that does that. And then obviously, what's another guy? Another thing that people are bringing up, some of his draft picks. At the end of the day, like, you're not going to hit on all your draft picks. If you look at the success rate of draft picks, like, some of this stuff, I'm like, all right, you people are expecting Pro Bowlers from, like, the 7th round and 6th round. Like, the guys,
exactly.
If you look at some of the first round, like, if you compare the Raiders' first round and second round picks to what It's night and
It's
day.
not even a question. The only first round pick we still have on our roster, well, technically too, is Josh Jacobs and Colton Miller. Everybody else is gone. Well, and now Tyree. Everybody else is gone. So
Yeah,
it's like, it's not even a question.
No, not even a question. Raider Dangerfield says it right here. Telesco had drafted better than any GMs we've had in the last decade. He seems to be able to find talent. Yeah, facts.
Right.
He has, but he also's missed. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be in a place for 11 years, there's gonna be some miss. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
you made I don't know if you made a point or someone made a point. It's talking about how McKenzie, he had that crazy 2016 draft, but then like all the other drafts were kind of a mixed bag. But what GM hits every draft?
None of them. It's like Steph Curry is the best 3-point shooter of all time, and he's like a 40% 3-point shooter. So that means for every 10 shots he takes, he misses 6 of them, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, and he's the best ever. So if we just focus on those misses, it's we're missing out on the makes. And I'm sure when you look at the best GMs in the league, all those guys have misses. All of them have misses. And just about all of them are better than what we've had over the past 3 years or 3 or 4 years. So just to bring in a guy with a fresh pair of eyes, he already has familiarity with this division. He's drafted well. He has experience at GM 10 years, and before that he spent another 10, 12 years in the Colts organization working under Bill Polian, which is another extremely well-run organization. Had a lot of success. So I think I've warmed up to the hire. There's no warmed up to the hire. I think people had it set in their mind that we were either getting Dodds or Kelly, or dream scenario Dodds and Kelly.
Yeah.
But that didn't materialize. It's a possibility that that Dodds, once things started getting a little bit more serious with Harbaugh and the Chargers, Dodds might have said, you know what, hey, that's kind of my preferred destination to go with Jim Harbaugh. And then as of right now, it looks like Champ Kelly is likely going to still be in the Raiders organization. So he's still under contract. So there's a chance that the guy that everybody wanted to be GM is still going to be working with another more experienced GM. Like that is still a very good scenario for this team. So I can't hate the hire.
That's a good point. But it seems like if you lost out on the job that you're interviewing with, would you still stay with the organization, or would you move on to a different organization where you feel like you probably have a better opportunity? So we still don't know where Champ Kelly stays in all this. Technically, yeah, he's still under contract with the Raiders, but at the same time, like if he feels like he's not going to get that opportunity with the Raiders, which I'm sure that he wants to be a GM, he might just go somewhere else, or decide to probably leave his contract or try to get out of that contract with the Raiders and go somewhere else where he feels like maybe he'll have a better shot. Who knows? But yeah, man, if Champ Kelly stays, okay, I like it. I like it. And Daniel Kim has a really good comment, and I thought about this earlier today too as well, because everybody was talking about like the Raiders decided this, but he says just a thought, but I'm not sure if Dodds picked the Raiders. He might have told them that he was going to take the Chargers opening and bowed out. Telesco might have been the best remaining option. It's true.
Possibly.
It's that could be true. They did report that they brought all 3 candidates in twice. So all of them got second interviews. So Dodds got a second interview, Kelly got a second interview, and Telesco obviously was reported yesterday he got his second interview as well. So go ahead.
And now I heard somewhere, I'm not sure if you heard the same thing, but I heard that once we made AP official, that AP was he sat in on some of those interviews with GMs. I don't know which ones he sat in on, but he did sit in on some of those interviews. And this is a point I want to make, because people love to make this point that what do they say? They say that John Madden was a linebackers coach that we elevated to head coach.
Yeah.
Al Davis worked for the Chargers before working for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Al Davis worked for the Chargers before coming to the Raiders.
Oh,
Remember
man.
that.
Al Davis is the enemy. He was on the low. He was the enemy. No, I was playing. I was kidding. Okay.
He's an op. Al Davis was the op.
Nah, man. But nah, yeah, hey, that's a good point. He was. That's a very good point. So for all the diehard Raiders who don't want any Chargers to come to the Raiders, Al Davis was a Charger at one point in his career. Obviously, he's that's Al Davis. That's Mr. Raider, but pretty much
Exactly.
he created the whole image. But yeah, man. Hey, look. So Tom Telesco, he's the Raiders GM. Man, I'm kind of like it's kind of a mixed bag for me because I'm like, damn, I did, like I said, I wanted Dodds, but hey, look, at the end of the day, you got to take this into account. They took their time for the GM search. They knew who they wanted with the head coach. Obviously, AP won them over, but with that GM, they actually took their time. It was like it's been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks since they started their search. So they kind of like took their time. They brought in, like I said, all three candidates in Champ Kelly and Ed Dodds and Tom Telesco. Those were the finalists. And I'm sure in those interviews, they asked them very specific questions. Hopefully Ken Henrock wasn't asking any questions. The guy that didn't want to ask McDaniels what happened in Denver. Hopefully he didn't ask.
Hey, know what? Look, I think we might have cost Dodds the job. Last show we talked about Ken Henrock and him picking and Josh McDaniels. Maybe Mark was listening and was like, yo, that's true. He wanted Dodds, and so Mark zigged when he told him to zag.
Either that or Ken Henrock probably he ruined it. He probably was like, I like Dodds, and then Davis probably looked at him like with a side eye, like, yeah, I ain't listening to your ass for sure. But hey, look, it's look, at the end of the day, look, the point that I was trying to make is that they took their time and they probably asked them like what their plan was with the Raiders.
Yeah. And
if they're asking them what their plan is with the Raiders, like for example, Ed Dodds or even Champ Kelly, there's some people saying that like, some of the, I don't know if it was Champ or maybe Ed Dodds, maybe some people are saying like they weren't planning on taking a quarterback in the draft or at least with the first round pick, or they were going into next season with Aiden O'Connell as a starter. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sure there's some people saying that. I seen it. That's the social media. Twitter
the Champ said that, right? It was Champ that said that.
Yeah, it's Twitter streets. I don't know. They're speculating. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. But I'm hearing it, and I'm like, damn, if that really happened, man.
That was a bad look, bro. That was a bad look.
Yeah.
That was a bad look.
But yeah, man. Look, if you haven't hit that like button, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Well, you know what? I got something for y'all, man. Just keep y'all just reminded to make sure to hit. You see the like button right there. You see that? It looked like that right there with the thumbs. Just hit it real quick for me. Real quick.
Man.
But
like thumb wars with it.
Yep. Look, Linnell Walker says Telesco's draft history is solid.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not like, he's been a GM for 11 plus years. What do you expect? Like, not every draft is going to work out.
Exactly.
What I like is that he hits in the early rounds, which when's the last time we've had a GM that hit in the early rounds? McKenzie, maybe? I don't know. It's been a while. Like, I felt like for a while, like I felt like the Raiders treated the first round like it was the seventh round. Like, it can go either way, but that's where you find like your premier starters in, like the can't miss players in. You gotta hit those homers in the first round and the second round.
100%.
Hey, my guy, man. Hey, man. I'm gonna give you the AP salute, man. Hey, I appreciate you, my guy.
You rocking the Pharaoh edition, the Pharaoh limited
man,
edition.
it's dope. It's dope ass snapback for sure. Like, it was dope. Nice, man. I gotta make some hats, man. I gotta make my own hat, man. I gotta make some.
Man, I gotta cop me some hats, man.
I got you.
Hats, man.
When I do, I'm gonna let everybody know, man. Don't worry. Raider
You the man
Chaos,
with the hats, man.
You know, I try. You know what I mean? I gotta change it up. You know, everybody gotta. I love the black and silver colors, but sometimes I gotta change it up, man. Y'all know the symbol. Y'all know the emblem. Y'all know the symbol. Raider Chaos says, "Is it true Davis wanted to? Is he trying to say fire or hire? I'm not trying to powerhouse hire with having a GM.
1 and 2 maybe one of the front office hire with having GM and assistant GM. Oh, a powerhouse hire with having a GM.
It looked like you just said
GM.
Ash right there, so I don't,
Yeah, I know, right? Ash GM.
Chaos, man, was Raider Chaos. Hey, it fits the name, Raider Chaos, right there.
He wanted GM with some ass. Like, hold up.
He was thinking about a lot right there.
Man.
Yeah, if you could if you could put the question in the chat again, man, I'm trying to understand your question, man. But But yeah, man. Hey, look. So Tom Telesco, like we said, everybody knows at this point that he got hired. We're just letting you know our thoughts about the hiring. I'm sure it's a mix. Some people are kind of excited, some people not. Some people they're warming up to it. I'm kind of warming up to it a little bit. Just based off all right, you know what? It makes sense to have an experienced guy in the room with AP. AP literally, and you know what? I kind of like that AP. He's hiring the Coughlins and the Marvin Lewis, and he has that in his ear because, he has that player coach in him. But at the same time, the Lewises and the Coughlins, they're kind of disciplinarian, they're the authoritarian type coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
So I kind of like that. I like that balance with him being a player coach, and then at the same time, you got people in your ear that kind of, and he's had that experience. He's been coached by them as well. So So it kind of tells you he's really listening to guys that got a lot of experience and he won Super Bowls with. So I like that. But yeah, man, hey, Super Omnicron is back. He says, some people forget John Spanos, the son of Dean, the owner, was making coaching and hiring decisions. Telesco is an experienced talent evaluator. This hire does not suck. His mentor, Bill Polian. Yep. I think
Bill Polian one is the greatest to ever do it too.
Yeah, and I think Vinny posted something about that real quick. Let me go ahead and go show that for a second. Let's see if I can show it. Boom. He says, regarding the Tom Telesco hire, he's from the Bill Polian tree. Grew up in the business under the late great Dom Nile, one of the NFL's most respected player personnel executives. I like that. I like hearing stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, man. But yeah, let's get back into it, man. So let's let's pivot, man. Let's get into the next topic right here. Before the GM hire, everybody was paying attention to the OC interviews that were getting lined up by the Raiders. And it's kind of heating up, man. There's some intriguing names. Let's get into
very
it real quick.
Intriguing names.
Yep.
Some not so intriguing names as well.
So, okay. So let's talk about it, man. So hold on one second. Let me put it up for you, everybody to see. So we got Lou Getsky, we got Alan Van Pelt, and we have Zach Robinson, and I'm forgetting my guy from the Bengals. I think he was a candidate as well. If someone in the chat could put it in, I'll try to pull it up. But there's another guy from the Bengals who might end up just getting the promotion with the Bengals. He's QB coach.
Bengals, yeah. I forget his name. Is QB coach. Yeah, I was thinking about Callahan, but it's not Callahan. I forget his name. Yeah, the QB coach and passing game coordinator. I forget his name.
Yeah. Callahan ended up getting the coaching job with the Titans.
With the Titans, yeah.
And he might end up accepting the promotion, to get to OC with the Bengals. But a lot of people are, offering him interviews, including the Raiders. Another guy that is getting a lot of attention, and rightfully so, just based off his background, former head coach Arthur Smith.
Yes.
For OC looks. How do you feel about that? Let's start with him real quick. How do you feel about Arthur Smith? Do you feel like it would be a good hire if we went after Arthur Smith? You trust him with a young QB? You feel like it's a good idea.
I mean, the only real young QBs we've seen him with is Desmond Ridder, and there's questions about how good Desmond Ridder really is. And he has talent, but there's just questions about his ability to quarterback at the NFL level. So judging him on based on what he did in Atlanta, it's not completely fair, especially in terms of developing quarterbacks. He did a good job with the Titans. He did a very good job with the Titans. He's a guy that the Titans had a lot of success when he was their offensive coordinator, put up a lot of wins, and he's a guy with head coaching experience. He didn't do a great job as a head coach, but he is a guy that has head coaching experience, and having a young head coach or inexperienced head coach like Antonio Pierce, I think having somebody with some experience there in Arthur Smith, I think that will be good for him. Now, the fact that we have Tom Coughlin and Marvin Lewis, especially if Marvin Lewis is going to be like part of the day-to-day staff, that might mitigate the need for us to have an experienced OC or DC with head coaching experience. But I think that that's still helpful.
Yeah, no, I like it too. You made a Daniel Kent today got jokes. He said, "Man, based on last start time, we starting early tonight. Yeah, we had a late night edition on Saturday, man.
We gotta
but we
set your
appreciate
expectations, man.
Hey, but you know what? We appreciate. We appreciate everybody coming through. A lot of it was heavy in the chat, so we appreciate everybody coming through, even on a late night. But Steve DeLuna says, just draft, baby. Hey, man.
Yes.
Just draft great, baby. He had to add the great,
Yeah, exactly.
Not just draft. You got to draft great. You got to draft great. But
and Telesco is drafted well, man.
Yeah, and especially in the first few rounds, and a lot of people like to bring up the fact that hey, look, he hasn't signed some of these guys in later rounds to second contracts, but doesn't mean that they weren't good players. There are some players that didn't sign the second contracts that were actually good players. Like, for example, if let's say if Josh Jacobs were to leave, right? Let's say he went to another team. Doesn't mean that he was a bad draft pick. It's just the Raiders didn't sign him to another contract. We know he's a good player. But yeah, going back to Arthur Smith as a candidate for the OC spot, you already know it's going to be the run game is going to be legit, heavy play action. Legit. Quarterback's best friend is the run game, and play action. You give that to a young running, mobile QB with a big arm. I kind of like that. I kind of like that, man.
Too.
So
I like that too.
There's definitely some options, and on top of that, with Arthur Smith too, if you hire him as an OC, I feel like he will be there for at least a couple years.
Yeah.
Because he just got fired as a head coach. If
still got that stink on him.
Yeah, look what you did with the Falcons, man. You never really developed a young QB. It is what it is. And what sucks too is as well is that he got fired, and he probably would have drafted a QB this year.
Yeah.
to go along with the pieces on offense, he had what's the tight end that gets compared to Darren Waller. I know Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, the running back that everybody was high on, number one running back coming out the draft last year. He's nice. Yeah. All around running back, pass catching,
Cordell, man. I think it was him that I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was him. Is it him that first started putting Cordell at running back?
Yeah, you're right.
And that was a sneak. That's that's creativity. That's outside the box.
You know what? I don't want to say that for sure. I think that he might have made the transition before Arthur Smith. Because look,
okay.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. But I know that they used him at running back. But I think he made that transition with the Falcons because I feel like Cordell was he was with the Falcons for he's been with them for a little bit. He's been for at least
I don't recall. I know he had a cup of coffee with us. I don't remember where. I don't know if he went straight to the Falcons after that or what. But still, man, some of the stuff they were doing with him was very, very creative, as well as with Bijan. And they had the other back, I want to say Algier or something like that, and he had some success at running the ball too. And then outside of Cal Pitts, I want to say that they have Jonnu Smith at tight end too. I want to say. Yeah. And so the guy knows how to use tight ends. He knows how to use tight ends. Jonnu Smith had some success. Cal Pitts didn't have as much success as you would have liked, but I think that some of that came down to quarterbacking as well.
Quarterbacking, and you probably could put that on Arthur Smith too. He didn't find a way to incorporate Kyle Pitts. It is what it is, but but we all know that not every coordinator makes a great head coach. But at OC, where they can put all their focus energy on one side of the football, and just drawing up plays and calling plays, hey, maybe this could be a guy for the Raiders. Because I'm also looking at long term too as well. Like I mentioned, if he were to hit it off with our young QB, we would have him for at least a couple, 2 or 3 years before, he gets another opportunity to be a head coach somewhere, because that's the next opportunity, the next stop. So, but if you go after some of these young, up and coming coaches at coordinator, it's like, man, you're gonna lose them after a year. If it's everything goes right, if he hits it off and he develops, for example, a guy from Houston. He might get a head coaching spot. You know what I mean? From the work that he did. Slowick, CJ Stroud.
My guy Slowick.
Hey, man, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But
after 1 year as a coordinator, he's probably going to get a head coaching job. Ben Johnson's been 2 years as a coordinator. He's probably going to get a head coaching job. Good, Big Mike. But, man, it's those young offensive minds, that's why it's so important to that's why a lot of teams like to hire a head coach that's an offensive mind and a play caller, because when you get a young offensive minded offensive coordinator, those guys get head coaching jobs fast. They get head coaching jobs fast. So, but if we get a guy like Arthur Smith or some of these other guys on the list that have a little bit more experience and aren't going to necessarily be like the hot commodities, real soon, I think we can build something that lasts a little bit longer, because you don't want to be switching coordinators on a young quarterback if we end up drafting one, year in and year out.
Shout out to Mr. CT. What's good, everyone? Shout out from Youngstown, Ohio, man. Appreciate you coming through, my guy, all the way from Ohio. Good. Man, hey, Raider Nation is everywhere, man. It's worldwide, so we appreciate everybody coming through and supporting. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Do all that good stuff, man. Hey, and we're going to get to the chat in a little bit. Hey, we see the chat going crazy right now. Yeah, so we appreciate the support. But let's actually get into the next candidate that was connected to the Raiders. And I don't know about this guy right here, but we got to talk about him. We got to talk about him. Lou Getsy he's going to get an interview for the offensive coordinator job this week, and Tom Pelissero he reported the interview here, and he made a mention of Chicago ranked number 1 and 2 in rushing respectively in 2 seasons, with Getsy calling the plays. But do you want him developing the next QB of the Raiders? Do you want him? Do you actually want him to do that? And I actually made a point, because he made a point to say, "Oh, the Chicago Bears are number 1 and 2 in rushing," but the Chicago passing game ranked 27th, 32nd the last couple seasons with Lou Getsy at offensive coordinator. And the Raiders in that time span, where we're over here complaining about McDaniels and the offense being terrible, ranked 23rd and 12th in that time span. So it could get worse with Lou Getsy. So I'm just saying, do you really want in today's NFL a guy that could maybe as a run game coordinator? I made this dude right here. I retweeted. I said make him a running game coordinator. Yeah. Maybe that. I don't know. But what are your thoughts, man, on Lou Getsy?
Yeah, I'm not a real fan of Lou Getsy. As you said, it's not only where they ranked 27th and 32nd the last couple seasons in terms of passing, but they were near the bottom of the league in terms of attempts. So either that was, well, we all know how I feel about Justin Fields, so I don't need to go there again. I think that's part of it. Justin Fields just ain't no good. Y'all will not get it through your heads. He's not good. He's not going to be good. He wasn't good then. He ain't good now. So I think that's part of the equation. But I think also part of it was just his lack of creativity on offense. And those rushing numbers are inflated greatly because Justin Fields he's a guy that prematurely takes off to run. And and there are also some design quarterback runs in there as well. But Justin Fields he abandons reads fairly quickly and starts running. that's why he takes hits, and that's why he's hurt pretty frequently too.
Yeah. I'm not gonna hate on Justin Fields that much, but I just feel like, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't want to go with Lou Getsy just because it's not. Come on, man. Like let's go with someone with a little bit more potential in the passing game. You know what I mean? I understand what you're saying. Maybe it could be the quarterback, but man, 27 and 32nd. Come on, man. But I see that the Chicago were ranked number 1 and 2 in rushing. I like that, but this is a passing league at the end of the day. Like we got to see some develop. We got to see some type of, it got to be better than this. Is all I'm trying to say. It got to be better than this. So I wouldn't be too excited with this. If the Raiders were to go this route, I think.
Watch, man.
I think Getsy might be he might be connected to one of the. I think Marvin Lewis. There's a connection with him and Marvin Lewis, I believe. So and you'll notice a common denominator with some of these coaches. They're connected.
Was
to
that
Marvin
Getsy,
Lewis.
or was that the other guy from Cleveland?
I think it's both. I think it's both. Yeah, I think it's both. If someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's both. I think Lou Getsy has a connection with not AP, but Marvin Lewis. If you guys don't know, Marvin Lewis was added to the Raiders coaching staff as like an advisor, senior advisor, which I like that. I like the experience for AP to someone to lean on that was a former head coach. But a lot of the interviews that are getting lined up, a lot of the OC jobs are, a lot of the interviews that are lined up, there's a little bit of a Marvin Lewis connection for the most part. But yeah, let's actually get into the next guy. The next guy, I think you were talking about. I think it was Van Pelt? No, it was not.
Yes.
Well,
Alex Van Pelt.
Yeah, I think. I thought I had it up here. Well, we'll get into this guy right here. And shout out to Matt Holder from TDL. He makes a nice little connection here, which I kind of liked. He said Raiders put in a request to interview Zach Robinson for their OC opening yesterday. Zach Robinson, I believe, was he the OC? No, he was not the OC, but he was the QB coach for the Rams last season.
Yeah.
Telesco obviously was hired today. Robinson was considered the favorite to get the LA Chargers OC job last year, per Albert Breer, before Kellen Moore became available. So maybe Zach, somehow, some way, finally gets hired by Telesco. If there's a connection there, I'm sure Telesco is probably going to add his 2 cents since he's now officially hired with the Raiders. That's another voice in the room that's going to be added into this search, where he's going to probably recommend maybe we look at this guy. Obviously, they lined this interview up before Telesco was hired, but I'm sure Telesco's going to have some say in the room because he's going to be there. You know what I mean? With the Raiders, he's going to know exactly who's going to be hired and all that good stuff. But how do you feel about Zach Robinson, man, from the Rams?
Man, Zach Robinson may be my favorite candidate. In all actuality, he's from that Sean McVay tree, and those guys, much like the Kyle Shanahan tree, those guys are doing very good things in the league. That kind of wide zone scheme that they run there. And I've heard some people say that Zach Robinson is akin to Mike McDaniel. And so I know that is very intriguing. So if we can get a guy like that in here with a young quarterback, bring in some creativity, we kind of see how creative, the Rams are with the things that they do over there. We can get some of that over here, especially if we get a mobile guy like a Jaden Daniels, even a guy that's somewhat mobile like Michael Penix. That can be very, very interesting. So I mean, he's a fast riser. He's one of my favorite candidates for this job right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that I think you can't go wrong, man. Sean McVay coaching tree. Hey, look, Sean McVay, a lot of people like the Sean McVay coaching tree. You see it all the time. Like they either Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. So and if you end up getting a good play caller and you pair that up with a young quarterback, hey, there's a lot to like there. But it's still kind of a risk because he's a QB coach. He wasn't the play caller for the Rams. Obviously, Sean McVay was that guy, but
Yeah. But Mike McDaniel wasn't the play caller for the 49ers. So, I mean, that's what I was saying, that there are people kind of make that same connection there with those two.
Yeah. And and it's a huge hire for AP. He has to get it right. He has to get it right, man, because he's not going to be the one to solve the offensive issues. It's going to be whoever that OC is. That's what it's going to be. You know what I mean? That's where it's at. But it's going to be better than what we've seen. Hopefully, what we've seen the last couple of years.
Couldn't get much worse.
Yeah, and then let's actually get into the let me get into the chat real quick before we move on to the next candidate. Hold on one second. Let's see. Let's see, my guy, Big Mike. Appreciate you coming through. We got to get you on here again, Big Mike.
Facts.
Anthony Provencio says Chargers have been a Super Bowl contender the past 3 to 4 years on paper. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like every season, last few seasons, people have been like, hey, like the Chargers are going to be that team every year. But I think the Chargers' biggest issue has been coaching. And we don't have to worry about Telesco making that decision because now a guy that the building believes in, AP, was hired before he even got there. So Exactly. So I think that's one of the benefits. That's why I think Mark probably felt comfortable making that move. Like, look, bro, your biggest kryptonite, it's already eliminated. We got a head coach already. We ain't got to worry about that. You just focus on getting talent, and that's one thing we know he can do. Right. And Anthony Provencio says, I hate the Chargers, but they've had talented riders throughout the years. See. So, like, hey, man, we see Raider Nation. And you know what? I'm going to get into – guess what? I'm going to go and I'm going to take a look at a poll I literally just put on before I went live. And I asked y'all, man, did the Raiders make the right choice in hiring Tom Telesco for GM? Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's see what this poll has to say here. And as you can see, let me make it a little bit clearer.
I'm surprised, man. Raider Nation. Look at the Raider Nation. The Raider Nation, man.
Yes, 72%. I get it. Experienced GM. And then, obviously I put no Ed Dodds and Champ. I think that's a lot of Raider Nation were leaning towards Ed Dodds and Champ. But yeah, man, 72% said I get it. They understand the move. So hey, Raider Nation is they understand what's going on, man. They understand what it is. I for a second, if you were to look at social media for a second, a lot of people were kind of like,
Armageddon.
Yeah, but but you know what? Just to play the other side, man. Look, if Tom Telesco ends up being a terrible GM, let's say hypothetically speaking, I don't want that to happen. And I shouldn't even be talking about it. I don't even put it in the universe. But look, let's say it does. Let's say it does. Do you, at this point, do you start asking, or do you at this point kind of like start looking at Mark Davis at selling the team? Like, do you feel like, it's time? Because if it doesn't work out with Tom Telesco and AP, like, who's it gonna work with? I don't know. Mark, there's no excuses because now everybody's like, oh, he's trying. He's making an effort. But
so I'll say this. I will say this. I will say that if the league had their way, Mark Davis would sell the team. And I will put it like this. The value of the Raiders is like $6 billion, right? He took it from $700 million when he got the team to $6 billion. And if he were to try to sell the team, and that's just the value of the team. So if he actually sold the team, he could easily get $7.5 or $8 billion for it.
Yep. Easily.
So the fact that he's not, that shows you how much he actually loves the team and wants to do right by the team. But good intentions don't always mean anything, right?
Yeah.
He kind of went maverick. So instead of hiring a president of football operations and letting them be the point person that hires the GM and the coach, Mark Davis essentially hired the coach and then hired the GM. So both of these hires are on Mark Davis. So if either one of them fail, the blame goes directly to Mark Davis. So I mean, he's putting himself out there.
Yeah. Now, because I'm looking at it like, I've kind of felt like this for a while. I'm like, man, like the Raiders have been bad for a long time, man. Like, do the Raiders need new ownership? But obviously, I kind of like, all right, you know what? Mark Davis is trying to make this work. He said the right things. He ate the bullet when he, so to speak, when he fired McDaniels and owed all that money. So like, he's trying to win. But at some point, you'd be like, all right, if this doesn't work with Telesco and AP, like, does Raider Nation as a whole start questioning? All right, because I know there's people in Raider Nation that are questioning Mark Davis right now, as we speak, right now. There's questioning him right now. But I think as a whole, you know how like McDaniels, everybody was like, fire McDaniels. Do we start questioning Mark Davis? Because like, it's too many different coaches, too many different regimes. Where you know what I think is going to buy him. I want to say buy him some time, because at the end of the day, it's his team. He don't have to sell it. But I will say this: like, if he hires a football mind, you know what I mean, a president of football operations position, he hires somebody to be in that position to oversee the GM and the coach. Mm-hmm. I think that might be the scapegoat. Like, you know what? I'm not going to make the decision. This guy's going to make the next decision. You see what I'm saying? I feel like that would be, if I was Mark, that'd be a nice little PR move, you know, like, hey man, I'm not gonna make any decisions no more. I'm gonna let these guys do it.
Yeah, I mean, if things work out, Mark Davis looks like a genius. If things don't work out, he still has some plausible deniability there in terms of, like, look, bro, all y'all wanted Antonio Pierce. I wanted Jim Harbaugh. You know, that's me. Like, look, I wanted Harbaugh. Y'all pushed this brother on me. I didn't want this guy. Like, I was just Harbaugh. So he has that plausible deniability there.
Yeah, and the reason why I brought it up, because like Telesco kind of came from left field. He came out of nowhere and like kind of surprised the nation, because all we were hearing is reports that Champ Kelly and Ed Dodds were the finalists, and they're working on making them, a two-headed monster in the front office. But obviously Telesco had the interview yesterday, and the rest is history. He's the GM now. And I was just thinking, like, I was like, man, the Raiders always find a way to shock you, like surprise you. And
man, that's why Luke Getsy scares me, bro. That's why Luke Getsy scares me, because nobody was talking about Tom Telesco the other day. Just like nobody was talking about Luke Getsy. And now all of a sudden Luke Getsy's getting an interview. I'm like, oh my goodness. Y'all better not. You better not do this to me. You got Cliff Kingsbury and Zach Robinson right there. You better not hire Luke Getsy. You better not.
Come on, because you got to, I understand, like, okay, he's number one in rushing and da-da-da-da, but you also got to value it looks like the Raiders, from what it sounds like, and for, if you just reading between the lines, it looks like quarterback is going to be a position that they're going to highly, go after in the draft. Specifically, hopefully in the first round. Hopefully they get one of the top 3 QBs.
Or at least they want to put that out there.
And if that's the case, you want someone who has, a pedigree of developing some type of, like, he's good at developing that quarterback position. And I don't know if you're getting on Fields and saying that this guy he's not looking good, but at the same time, like, all right, well, he was the OC there. The OC is supposed to make things look a little bit better and smoother and more productive. And, you would think, Fields would look a little better. But, it is what it is, man. Dominique Fye says, I wish.
I'll say this. Who was the OC before? We don't know who the OC was before Luke Getsy, but he didn't make Fields look no better neither. So what's the common denominator there? Right?
Hey, you are not a
bro.
You are not a Fields guy, man, for sure, man. I'm open to Fields. Like, if we get him in a trade and it's like for a 3rd round pick, I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. But you're more like, who do you compare Fields to? Because since we're talking about it right now, who do you compare as a player? Because you don't think he's that good, but like, he has a skill set, right? He's like more of a mobile QB, more guy that uses his legs a lot. But DJ Moore had a really productive year with him at quarterback. So
Yeah, DJ Moore, and the DJ Moore had a productive year, and they were still 32nd in passing. So it was like
Luke, hey,
you feel me?
2 words, Luke Getsy, man. He might not be the answer at OC.
Man, Justin Fields is not the answer at quarterback. Look at the Chicago Bears ranked in passing every year since Justin Fields has been a quarterback, and tell me where they've been. Sure, it's
But
been near
look,
the bottom of the league.
who would you compare Fields to? If you had to compare him to
To
somebody,
to a guy in the league right now, or just
yeah,
ever.
any like just any player, like because you're saying he's not good, right? But he does have a skill set.
I mean, I want to go. What's my man? Dang, I can't remember the guy. He played for Houston, won the Heisman, but I can't remember his name. I'll go Achilles Smith. If people remember Achilles Smith, people he's a bust. That's what he was. Drafted by the Bengals and was a bust. It's like Justin Fields is a bust. People gonna realize it soon enough.
Man, that's tough. That's tough.
People gonna realize it soon enough. People are like, it's always a situation where he's got so much talent. If he could just know who he's like. Remember that receiver we drafted? No, we picked up from I can't remember my guy's name. Out of Clemson. We played for the Steelers, and John Gruden called him the White Tiger. He's like,
you talking about the wide receiver? You talking about the wide receiver?
Yeah, the wide receiver we got from the Steelers. He went to Clemson. He had all that talent.
Did the Cowboys pick him up this year? I think the Cowboys might have picked him.
Hey, he's out the league. I'm gonna say. I think he's playing like in one of those.
There were some reports that he was he finally got off the suspension list because he was on the suspended list.
Oh yeah, probably suspended.
I know you're talking about the dude. Someone in the chat could probably get it. But he came out of he was with the Steelers. The Raiders traded for him.
He went to Clemson. Got drafted.
Martavis Bryant.
That's Justin Fields. He has all this talent and is gonna go to waste because he ain't no good.
Damn, man. Hey, man, y'all heard it here first, man. So when Justin Fields start balling out, like we gonna find where Severe Raider is, and we just gonna blow up his whole DMs and let him know how wrong he was. Someone gotta clip this. Clip this moment right here. Someone gotta.
I didn't put it on wax, bro. Look, I put it on wax. I put Ben Johnson on wax. I put Jane Daniels on wax. I put Bobby Slowick on wax. I put CJ Stroud on wax. I put Spillane on wax. I put Josh Jacobs being no good. Everything I'm doing, I'm putting on wax. So y'all can come back to it. I want y'all to come back. If I'm wrong, if we get him and he's good, that's good for us. I'm happy about that.
All right. Well, Dominique Fi says, I wish we would bring people from a winning organization like the 49ers, Ravens, and Eagles. Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're referring to maybe like that GM spot. Adam Peters was one of the first GM, I think, guys that get hired at that GM spot. I think the Commanders end up hiring him. He came from the 49ers. Hey, man, the Ravens, man, they're a well-run organization, man. Like, hey, I kind of said before, like, if Mark Davis is looking for like that president of football operations, that guy that's going to oversee the GM, the coach, that's going to make some big-time decisions, and Ozzie Smith, you know what I mean? I don't know how much money would it take for Ozzie Smith to come out of retirement and just like, hey, man, like, come to Vegas, we got
Pay him whatever it takes. Whatever
it takes, man. Whatever it takes. But at this point, he's been there, done that, man. He's the guy that's been behind all those great Ravens teams. But yeah, man. Daniel Kim says Telesco has a similar success as Roseman, but Philly dodged the injury bug. The Bolts couldn't get it done in the rookie QB contract window. That's a killer mistake. Yeah, that's a good point. A good point. And I think I forgot who it was. Might have been PFF. They made a point about how they kind of hold it against Telesco because he's had Phillip Rivers and Herbert for a while now, and hasn't been able. But a lot of the issues with Telesco, where people are not really talking, the coaching has been terrible. That's been the issue with the Chargers. It hasn't been really the talent. It's just been the coaching is been bad. Like
horrible.
Terrible.
People want us to there was somebody, I forgot who it was, but they were advocating for us to hire Anthony Lynn and Anthony Lynn was a disaster with the Chargers. Then he got hired as OC for the Lions and was a disaster with the Lions. And then the Lions fired him and hired Ben Johnson, an instantly better team, like instantly a better team. So it's like, I'm staying far away from Anthony Lynn. And then the comparison to Roseman, people always like to point out the guys that Telesco missed on, but no, Howie Roseman drafted Jalen Reagor one pick before Justin Jefferson. And if you don't know who Jalen Reagor is, it's okay because he's no good. He drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside before DK Metcalf. If you don't know who J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is, it's okay because he's no good either. So, wide receiver out of Stanford, no good. Mike Mayock loved him though.
I think Reagor had like a return touchdown. What team is he playing for right now? But it wasn't with the Eagles, obviously. It might have been with the Vikings. He had like a special teams return touchdown. But yeah, he's been a bust. He's definitely a bust. Like he hasn't been the receiver they thought he was gonna be. They thought he was probably gonna be like a dynamic, like explosive. Yeah. I remember him coming out like you could tell like he was a little shifty, but it just
they thought they were drafting Jeremy Maclin and they drafted John Ross.
Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work at all. But let's get back to we got one more candidate to look at, and it was actually reported later today. And Alex Van Pelt, former OC for the Browns, was a QB coach with them. He's been with the Browns for like the last 4 years, I believe. Mm-hmm. And look, another OC candidate for the Raiders with connections to Marvin Lewis. So Marvin Lewis is having a heavy influence on some of these guys that the Raiders are bringing. And the thing is too, it hasn't been bad. Like the candidates that are going to get interviewed, they're not bad. They're not bad candidates. Like it's not like, man, like what is Marvin Lewis doing? But there is an influence by Marvin Lewis. Like, and Vinny kind of makes a point. He says Raiders are essentially filling out the entire offensive staff. I can see some of these candidates filling other positions if they're not the OC choice. I kind of like that. I like that. I like that point. And then he goes on to say, because Vinny, he used to cover the Rams, so he knows a lot about the Rams and how they're built. And he said when McVay took over for the Rams, he hired Matt LaFleur as OC, Greg Olsen, a former NFL OC, as a QB coach, Aaron Kromer, a former NFL OC, as an O-line coach, and Zach Taylor, a former NFL college OC, as an assistant wide receiver coach. And these are guys, Zach Taylor, and look, and yeah,
all those guys are but outside of Greg Olsen, I think all those guys have gone on to be, and Aaron Kromer, all those guys, two of those guys have gone on to be head coaches.
Right, and he also makes the Rams average an NFL worst 14 points per game in 2016. Kind of similar to the Raiders situation. We're not, for under McDaniels, we averaged 16 points a game. The AP effect, he tried to make an adjustment, but we still finished the season averaging under 20 points a game, 19 points a game. Yeah. But then, then they hired McVay and he hired his offensive think tank and they averaged a league best 29.9 points per game in 2017. So I kind of like where Vinny's kind of going with this. He's basically saying that a lot of these guys that's going to get interviewed are possibly going to be hired as position coaches as well. Yeah. So whoever the OC is going to be is going to get that job, right? It's a big job. But then obviously the other spots are going to be filled by guys that were OCs. So I kind of like that because, if let's say if Zach Robinson doesn't work out, then we got someone who's a former OC that can call plays. But
yes.
But yeah, I like that, man. You got a lot of great minds in the room. So
they're trying to get you to follow David Carr. Hey man,
I don't follow the Cars.
You might like
man.
David Carr, like that.
I can't do it, man. If you, if you play for the Raiders, hey man, you gotta play for the Raiders, man. You gotta be a Raider fan. If I follow you, gotta be at least a Raider fan. At the very least, man. Very least. David Carr's probably still. You think he's a Raider fan? You think you like the Raiders?
Nah, because I know David Carr is a Derek Carr fan.
He's Derek Carr. That's it. He don't like the Raiders.
I don't think Derek Carr's ever a Raiders fan, but I don't want to get into that. But I will say this: like I do not want to put that kind of expectations on Antonio Pierce just because Sean McVay is the kind of Sean McVay is the straw that stirs that drink, right? And then he hired a very qualified staff. We see what Matt LaFleur is doing. He's very, very good at what he does. We see what Zach Taylor is doing. He's very good at what he does too. But right now we don't have we have a few spots open on the offensive side of the ball, right? We know for sure we have offensive coordinator open. We have offensive line coach open, and we have quarterback coach open. So those are 3 spots open right there. Zach Robinson is currently a quarterbacks coach, so I doubt if he comes here for that same position. I don't think he has any, experience with offensive linemen, so he has to be OC or nothing at that point. Cliff Kingsbury is interested. He's a quarterbacks coach in college, so would he leave college to take a quarterback coach job in the NFL? But he's being considered for some other offensive coordinator positions. So would he do that? I don't know. But those are my 2 favorites for the job right there. I'm not sure what Alex Van Pelt's background is. So I don't know if he'd be qualified to coach offensive line or coach quarterbacks. Same with Lou Getsy. I'm not sure what their backgrounds are, but those are the spots we need to fill.
Well, a lot of the things that they bring up about Alex Van Pelt is that the running game has been like near tops of the league since he's been the OC. I think there was a game where he did call plays and they dropped like 38-48 with the Browns. So there's that.
Cool.
Alex Van Pelt. And then obviously he has the QB coach thing going from OC. And I think the Browns had like how many QBs played this year? There was like so many different QBs that came in. And then you had what's his name come from the street out from the street, literally from his couch. With my guy, he was a former Raven QB.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco come in and be productive to a certain extent. So
Oh yeah, exactly. Because they just fired him, right? He just got fired, right?
Yeah. So Van Pelt got fired. So
he just got fired. Yeah.
So hey, look. The Raiders are doing their due diligence, man. They got there's a lot of different options, a lot of different ways. We start off by talking about Arthur Smith. I don't think a lot of people are talking about him as far as being connected to the Raiders, but we're like there's said to be a lot of interest in him. But I don't see any an interview lined up with Arthur Smith. But I'm like, would he be a good? I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I like that spot for him. I mean. I made that point earlier. You get one of these guys that were former head coaches that didn't pan out, but they're a good offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You can have them for a little bit. You know what I mean? And you can have a quarterback in that offense for a while. If we get one of these hotshot young OCs or QB coaches that starts killing it, there's a good chance that they might leave after 1 year, and that's like kind of the struggle with sometimes of not having an offensive head coach. Is like, and you have a young QB, you're gonna have to change that whole system for that young QB because the OC is gonna get a head coaching job. It's something to, I guess, pay attention to. I'm not sure if they're looking at it that way, but I look at it that way because we know that like sometimes with QBs, and we've seen it firsthand, like if you have instability at that spot, it's gonna be hard to like, to develop. So. And we've seen it time and time again with the Alex Smiths, Derek Carrs, any QB you name that didn't pan out or wasn't as successful you wanted them to be, especially early on in their career. You could see the instability they had at head coach, OC, different offenses, different systems. We see it time and time again. So I'm just like looking at it from that perspective. Bougie says Champ doesn't seem like that kind of person, just judging off his interviews. I think you're talking about how earlier we're saying that Champ can possibly, be like, what, maybe he'll have a better shot somewhere else. Hey, it's not being a bad person. I don't think this has nothing to do with character, bad person. It's just common sense. Like, if he feels like, hey, look, like I might have a better shot somewhere else at becoming a GM or whatever, he feels like it's a better place. There's somewhere else he go. Hey, that's a personal decision, and I respect it. It doesn't make him a bad person.
It's like you look at Champ. He's almost in the same scenario he was last year, not last year, but when he first, essentially last year. Well, when he first got hired with the Raiders, he came in to interview for the GM job. They passed over him for Dave Ziegler, but he came on as assistant GM. Now, I don't think it's not like he's taking a demotion or anything like that. If he's still under contract, if he doesn't get a GM job elsewhere, ain't nothing wrong with learning from a more experienced GM like Telesco, somebody who's actually, like been around the league for a little while, worked under one of the best GMs of all time, like, spending another year working under that guy before, some other GM jobs open elsewhere. Because I think, Peters already got hired in Washington. And then did the Panthers already hire? Panthers hired a GM as well. Did they not?
Yeah, Dan Morgan.
Yeah, and if I was and if I'm Champ Kelly, that's not a job I want. I do not want that Panthers job because you know how David Tepper is as an owner. So I would have, even if offered, that's an opportunity you kind of got to pass up.
He was an assistant GM, I believe. So it was kind of in-house hire. So he just took the opportunity. I mean, he hasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't probably wasn't getting any looks anywhere else.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I mean, I think maybe, and I hope Champ stays. If Champ stays, I think that's a win for the Raiders for sure.
That's a big win.
Because you have a guy that's in the building that's familiar with the roster that Telesco can lean on as far as, certain players that he's not familiar with. I think Ian Rappaport made a good point. He did say that, the Raiders do get a GM that's knowledgeable about the AFC West, including the Raiders. So it's not like they're getting someone from, the Eagles or, from some other team that's not familiar with the Raiders roster. I'm sure Telesco's familiar with the Raiders roster because he's part of, he was with the Chargers. He played them twice a year.
Right.
So you got to study the enemy. So, but you got if Champ Kelly's able to stay, you got a guy that's been in the building that's familiar with the team, and he'll be able to lean on when it comes to, like, maybe should we bring this guy back? Should we sign this guy? Hopefully if Champ Kelly stays, that one of the first people he says that needs to get re-signed, my guy Kuntz. You know what I mean? Hopefully we can get him signed long term, because, that's the guy that we can sign hopefully for the future. And then Daniel Kim, so I'm behind in the chat. I see that you guys are talking. I'm gonna try to get caught up here. I appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to hit that like button. I'm gonna give y'all a friendly reminder because sometimes y'all get confused. Like, what's the like button? The like button is it looks with thumb. The thumb right there, man. But I appreciate y'all, man. Just hey, we want to keep coming back and doing this. So as we're going live on both channels, so if you're not subscribed to Severe Raider, go over to his channel. My mods post the links. But if you're watching this from Severe's channel, make sure to like his video as well as mine's, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. Because some people say, like, "Hey man, I missed your live, man. What time do you guys live?" Sometimes, today was kind of it's not a day that we usually go live, but we had to because it was breaking news. I'm my bad, man. I'm messing up your mojo right there with all the thumbs.
Got the it's raining thumbs, man. It's raining likes.
Yeah, man. But Dominique 5 says he likes Kingsbury or Robinson. Kingsbury Robinson.
So same. I'm the same.
Kingsbury. I like Robinson more, man, because Kingsbury is kind of it's high risk, high reward type of deal. Like I don't.
Sometimes gotta gamble like. I think
it's same thing with Zach, but I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing with Zach is that Zach could be Bobby Slowick, right? He could be Ben Johnson, where he's one and done. I think Kingsbury, as we said before, I think Kingsbury is here. He's good for at least 2 years, possibly 3, even if he has success. Because people aren't going to be quick to hire him again. Like they're going to take a wait and see approach with it. And he has head coaching experience. I like that. And he was the guy that coached Patrick Mahomes in college.
Mm-hmm. And hey, shout out to Super Omnicron. I said this earlier. OCQB coach Jim Pitcher from the Bengals, who helped develop Jake Browning, and Jake Browning played pretty well down the stretch when Burrow, went down, and everybody thought the Bengals were going to lose like every game. They're not going to be productive, but he actually played pretty well for a guy who no one really expected to do anything. So So yeah, man, pitcher's kind of like another candidate, you know what I mean? Like the Raiders can go with, and I think that's another, is that another Marvin Lewis connection? It might be another Marvin Lewis connection. Not just being the Bengals, not being just the Bengals. I think there's a connection. I think he might have been his a former QB, and he might have been he might have been on on Marvin Lewis's team as a like a backup QB. But let's see. My guy Steve, man, is in the building. He says, "What I tell you last time, Severe. I told you Anthony Lynn as OC, even though he fired him as a head coach. Who knows? Maybe OC Telesco seemed to run a West Coast offense and build through the trenches, man. Hey, what do you got for my guy Steve, man? He's coming for you."
Yeah, man. I kind of let's pause on that one, but I kind of talked about I talked about Anthony Lynn earlier, in the fact that he was a disaster. Not only was he a disaster with the Chargers, but he was a bigger disaster with the Lions. So if we double down, now I will say this: he is now working under Kyle Shanahan. So maybe some of that Kyle Shanahan magic rubs off on him for his next OC job, possibly. He's a guy that's respected, around the league. His son is a rising star in the college ranks as a defensive coordinator. But I'm taking a hard pass on Anthony Lynn. I'm running with Cliff Kingsbury or Zach Robinson, and Alex Van Pelt is he's a little intriguing too, because once that team got a competent quarterback, they started balling.
Yeah,
they started balling. So that's an intriguing guy too. But I'm staying away from Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn kind of fits the bill as, but
finish your thought.
Now I was saying he would fit the bills because he has head coaching experience too. He has that Telesco connection. But just seeing what he did with the Chargers and what he did with the Lions, I'm saying no.
You know who I haven't seen connected, and a lot of people are kind of high on. I see him getting some opportunities, and Daniel Kim mentioned Kubiak. I think Kubiak and Brian Greasy.
I thought Kubiak got the Clint Kubiak or Cliff. I thought he got looked somewhere else, or he got hired somewhere. I thought I heard. I could be wrong.
Did he get hired? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he got hired. I know that he was one of, because I think the Saints were in. They wanted to. I think they put in an interview request for Kubiak and Brian Greasy. Because I've seen that.
Maybe that's what it is.
As recently as today, but I don't know. It might be.
Maybe that's what it is. I heard something about Kubiak, and I thought maybe it was just an interview.
Yeah, Arthur Smith was the one who lost it after the Saints game. But to keep it to just be honest though, he knew that he was about to get fired, and the dude was just running up the score on him. And Dennis Allen was like, was that Jameis Winston? I think that one might have been an audible by Winston.
Did you see that? Did you see the post-game interview with Jameis Winston?
I already know it's hilarious.
Oh my God, Jameis Winston is the gift that keeps on giving, man. Yeah, that's one of the funniest post-game interviews I've ever seen in my life, bro. What did he say? Hilarious.
What did he say? What did he say?
He's just being Jameis, bro. You got to watch it, man. You just got to watch it, bro. It's hilarious. It's just funny. He's like, we already put 41 on him. We're like, what's 48?
Hey, he's not lying though. He's not lying. I think Arthur Smith should have been mad after after they went up by 21 or something like that.
Exactly, man.
It is what it is, man.
It was hilarious. If y'all ain't seen that, bro, y'all got to go watch that. That's hilarious, man. It is hilarious.
But Daniel Kim says Getsy's a hard pass. I get it. Ben Johnson to top process for head coaches available, and we sit right on our thumb. I'm just gonna I don't even know what sound to put one of these. But I don't think Ben Johnson or even any of the top OC candidates. I already know which. I don't even think that they were going to be connected to the Raiders at all, just because like AP just put a AP, man, he went out there and he proved himself, and I felt like Mark felt bad about what happened the first time around by hiring McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he apologized to the team. I've never heard an owner apologize to the players. He apologized to the team about the mistake in hiring McDaniels, because the players actually asked for they wanted Bisaccia, even if some of us who were like, you know what, we can see why Mark Davis would not go with Bisaccia, because he's never had head coaching experience. What is the plan with that Bisaccia is going to go out there and bring back Greg Olson at OC, at the time, but McDaniels was so bad, and he could have easily went with Bisaccia and run it back, and he didn't do that.
Yeah.
And fast forward, AP is doing he has the same effect, probably even better. The defense playing better than I've ever seen it before. The team overall is played hard under him. It literally, watching Raider games got better. Yeah. And I knew we had a terrible offense. It's not like our offense got that much better, but it was just way more interesting to watch the Raiders. And AP was because of AP and his ability to get a lot out of him.
I think if Bisaccia was younger, I think he would have got stronger consideration. But the fact that he was already kind of an older guy and taking over, you don't want somebody that old to get their first experience as a head coach. That might have been kind of a weird look.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Hey, so that pretty much wraps up the OC search. We're gonna keep y'all updated. We're gonna talk about, as soon as we find out, we're gonna be here to talk about it. But we're gonna talk about something that no one is actually talking about. It's people are kind of focused on the GM hire and the OC hire possibly, but my guy PG just got a second interview. He got a second interview with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And that is a big loss if he were to become head coach for the Raiders, because now we've seen one of the best defenses we've seen in a while with the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And you would want that to continue and build off what we did last season. You want to keep that same system, the same defensive play caller, defensive. And now that's if we replace him, that's going to be a huge question mark and loss and void that PG is going to leave in that coaching staff. So hopefully, hey, if he gets the head coaching job, congrats. But as a fan, I don't want him to get the head coaching job. I want him to come back one more year. Just give us one more year, PG, and then you're going to become a head coach in this league for sure. But yeah, man, he got a second interview with the Seahawks, which is a good sign in his look. Telesco got a second interview, boom, head coach. And there's other candidates that's linked to the Seahawks. I think Mike Vrabel is also interviewed with them as well. So there's some competition for that job. It's just that
Dan Quinn. I think the part of the reason why this has gone underreported is that people have kind of assumed that Dan Quinn would be the guy that gets the job there, just because of the connection to the Seahawks in the past. And so, but yeah, man, like you said, losing PG, that would be a very, very, very hurtful blow to this team, man, just because we give a lot of credit to AP, deservedly so, because I think he kind of galvanized the team. But it was still PG's defense. He was calling the defense. He was putting together the game plan. So to lose him, man, that would hurt. That would hurt.
Yeah, man. I hope he comes back. But it's getting close, man. It's getting down to the wire right now. And I think I don't know. I'm not sure if there's another spot that he's getting a second interview in, but I know for this is probably the closest one. So if he doesn't get this job, there's going to be a good chance that he comes back as a DC for the Raiders. But obviously, if he gets offered the job, he's going to take it and become a head coach. And I don't blame him. But it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be a big loss. It's going to be a big loss if he ends up becoming a head coach for the for the Seahawks. But Pizzle4420, he says, go back and watch the 94 Niners. Mike Shannon was the coach. Man, the chat is going crazy, man. Y'all having convos about 1994 49ers. Man, what? Y'all talking about the Niners?
Talking about the Niners in 1994. It's not even recent Niners. Go watch the Lions in 86.
Hey, appreciate you, Austin. He says, new show graphics look clean, man. Appreciate you, my guy. Hey, I'm always trying to make adjustments and getting better at this, so appreciate you noticing, man. My guy, War Production says, salute panel, salute chat. We need a proven OC like Cliff Kingsbury or Eric B. That's another guy. We haven't. He's still under contract with the Commanders, last I heard. So, and I think he interviewed for the head coaching spot. But, I'm not sure if he's going to be coming back with them at OC. I don't know what the deal is with him. So, but he hasn't had any interviews lined up as an OC anywhere else. So, I think, that's a possibility. Last year, I felt like he started off well. It looked like, he was doing a good job with the QB, but it was kind of a mixed bag. He passed the ball a lot. He didn't really, some people kind of question his ability to actually, use the run game at least. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Bieniemy might be a product of Andy Reid. Who knows? But it's tough though, man, because he did not have the QB that he had with the Chiefs. Obviously,
you don't like Sam Howell?
Sam Howell does remind me a little bit about Patrick Mahomes. That's like
Sam Howell is.
I shouldn't even say that out loud. Y'all about to just hold that against me.
He's the Justin Fields of the NFC East, man. What you talking about?
Hey, my guy over here with the super chat. My guy Space Beast says, with PG, I don't want comp draft picks. I want, man, we gonna give you a pause on the last part, but I understand where you I understand where you coming from, Space Beast. We want him back at DC. Defensive coordinator. Man, we need to build off this defense. The defense was the biggest bright spot this year. Without a doubt, it's not even close. And hey, man, like I said, I don't remember last time the Raiders had a great defense like this. And I'm saying good defense could possibly be great, maybe with another good offseason, because there are some spots that they need to maybe add some depth. Hey, if they attack free agency, maybe go after a Chris Jones, or a Jalen Johnson. Maybe those are two big time players, that you add to the defense. It kind of takes them a little bit to a whole different level.
The way Telesco be spending money, go after both of them. Shoot. man, Tom Delaney, she's gonna check him at the door. He's gonna be like, nah, we not signing that contract. He gonna get a knock at his office, like, yo.
Hey, you know who signed good contracts though? Maybe this might have been an issue. Might have been like the Raiders' way of signing deals because they didn't have the money or whatever. But McKenzie,
he did.
He front-loaded a lot of those deals. So then when they didn't work out, when those players some of these contracts didn't work out, some of those players, because there were some contracts that didn't work out, some of these players. But they were able to get out of those contracts easily because they didn't owe them a lot of money in the back end. So now Reggie McKenzie came into a terrible cap situation with her. He had to spend. Remember that first year, he basically had to do a complete tear down of the team. Just to get our cap situation in order. So, we had to take that dump of a year the first year, and then, he started building slowly up after that. But yeah, man, he did a really good job in terms of structuring contracts. Casper says he said a few weeks ago he was going to hire a president of football operations. He had president of football administration in Delaney and VP of football operations Jones. Yeah, maybe he's going to take his time. Maybe he's going to take his time in someone in that role, because obviously, the season was happening when he said that, and as soon as the season ends, you got to make some calls at that GM spot. There was not enough time for him to actually. These are things that he was saying, kind of off. I don't want to say off the record, but he was saying it during the season, near the end of the season. So I think at some point he's going to hire that role, and then and then go from there. So there's going to be another, and I like it because it gives Mark Davis a level of separation from that locker room, because man, like when you start hearing him talking to the head coach after the game, and
yeah, he be flying back on the team plane with the rest of the team, and the coaches. It's like, come on, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, and then and he admits openly, like, yeah, I don't know anything about football. Like I'm not my father. I'm not a talent evaluator. But then he's making these big time football decisions. I'm just like, ooh, like maybe you should have someone. You should hire someone maybe that you feel like is capable, and let them hire the GM and the coaches, and But we'll see how it shakes out. Michael Van L, I'm trying to get through the chat, man. I appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell. He says maybe Dobbs didn't want the job. Hey, if he didn't want the job, he wouldn't come back for a second interview. Why would he?
True.
He could just decline the second interview.
True.
I think he wanted it. I think he wanted it. I think he wanted it. But or maybe he didn't. You know what? Maybe he didn't want what the Raiders were offering. Maybe because there were reports saying that the Raiders were thinking about putting Champ and Dodds together, and maybe he didn't want that. Possibly that could be a possibility too as well. Appreciate you coming through, Pizzle. Appreciate you coming through. Right. Anthony Provencio says hopefully Champ doesn't feel any type of way. Stay on the staff. Yeah, man. I hope he stays too. But
yeah. That's an ideal situation right there, man. That's an ideal situation. I mean, we wanted Dodds and Champ, but Telesco and Champ, I think that can work, man. I think that can definitely work.
Yeah. Ward Production says I prefer West Coast, which is Gruden, McVay system, but Cliff. A lot of the guys that they're bringing in are West Coast guys. So we haven't heard anything. Maybe like a lot of guys I feel like are West Coast guys, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Like the interviews are going. Hey, there might be a hiring. Would you say OC gets hired this week or next week? Are they going to take their time?
I think. Well, tomorrow's Wednesday. I think early next week. I think they might want to interview some more of these kids. But I mean, because a lot of these guys are on their first interview still, so I think they might want to bring up some of these guys back for their second interviews. And then do it early next week, kind of like this job. I was telling people, what, if we go past this past weekend without hiring AP or Champ, those guys are in trouble. We snuck in the AP hire right before the weekend, but when Champ didn't get hired, I kind of thought it might be some trouble for him. So, and we ended up going in a different direction. I think it's the same thing going on right now. I think they're going to bring guys back for second interviews, and then they're going to make a decision early next week. But like a lot of these guys, if they aren't being considered for other jobs, like it's not really a whole lot of rush. I know, but you do want to have a guy in place. The Senior Bowl is coming up. That's coming up fast, so you kind of want to have that guy in place. But I know this is AP's most important hire, so you don't want to rush the process.
Right. But you also don't want to lose out on some good candidates. If you're just taking your time.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
Super Omicron said Fields' comp is Michael Vick with more interceptions and taking more sacks. He said Mike Vick, but I think that was Mike Vick was crazy though. Mike Vick was, Fields has moments where he's getting out the pocket and he's probably one of the most exciting. I say him and Lamar Jackson are probably the most mobile QBs in the NFL. Like as far as like speed, would you say those are the two fastest quarterbacks in the league? Lamar Jackson and Fields. I'm trying to think if there's anybody.
I think boy in Tennessee is probably faster than probably faster than Fields. I don't know if he's faster than Lamar, but he's not. He's nowhere near as good as either one of them.
But he's not. He's not starting though. Yeah, he's not starting.
Oh yeah, start. Well, he started for a hot second. But you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. Yeah. He's not.
Malik Willis has got wheels. Malik Willis is fast as hell. But yeah. Man, that would. I wouldn't even do Michael Vick like that, man. Like, Justin Fields is Michael Vick in jail after he got caught dogfighting.
Hey man, look, hey, all you got to know that Severe is not he's not a Fields guy. Like he does not want that trade. If it happened, he would go crazy for sure. But Anthony Provencio says he wants explosive electric like that in NFL. He's gonna need to put on weight. He's gonna get messed up. I think he's talking about Daniels. Maybe put on some weight.
Mm-hmm.
James Carr says Ryan Shazier. Man, y'all having crazy conversations. I'm gonna try to get through this.
Oh, that's old boy from the Steelers, right?
Yeah, but he got hurt. He got like hurt. He's career-ending injury, right? But I don't know. They're probably having.
That's
Daniel
a side conversation.
Yeah, the draft with Achilles Smith had like 5 QBs, 3 busts, and 2 ballers. Tim Couch, Achilles Smith, Cade. Man, he taking it way back. Where Bus and Don McNabb, Dante Culpepper balled out. Yeah, Culpepper wasn't the same after that. I think when he tore his ACL, was it when he messed up his knee? Yeah. He was never the same. He was never
remember he scored that touchdown with us against the Dolphins and then started pointing to his knee and he was trashed the rest of the year.
I was like, man, hey man, if we can get if he was pointing to his knee, and I was like, man, if he was gonna ball out with the Raiders, but it was a lot of hope back then. It was a lot of hope and nothing to show for it.
I think that's the year we drafted. I don't even bring this up, man. I think that's the year we drafted Jamarcus Russell too, man.
Oh, and he held out. I think he held out for most of the year.
Man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and go on over to Severe Raiders channel, man, and make sure.
Salute, 2 stocks. Appreciate you, brother. He must not be a Justin Fields fan either. That was probably during my Justin Fields rant. He's like, man, this dude knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, but look, man, it's been a great show. Great show, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. Like I said, it's been a great show. Look, man, at the end of the day, we're gonna be excited for next season. This offseason is just beginning. There, AP's the head coach. You got an experienced GM. Now you got free agency coming up. You said the Senior Bowl actually is coming up. And then you got free agency. You got the draft. There's so much that's going to happen between now and next season. There's a lot to be excited about. It would have been a way more intriguing hire if the Raiders went with Ed Dodds and Champ. But hey, if it's Champ and Telesco, hey, I like it, man, because we don't know what Champ can do as a full-time GM because he's never been that, And then you got AP, who's inexperienced. You see all the experienced guys that he's hiring as advisors because he knows there's a lot that he needs to learn, which I respect. And he has guys in his ear that have been there and done that. So, and that's what I kind of like about AP. He's able to I feel like he's able to take constructive criticism. Like he has people that's in the room that's gonna let him know what he's doing wrong, what he needs to get better at. And I feel like hiring a guy like Marvin Lewis and also I think Tom Coughlin, I don't know if he was brought in as well, but there's a connection there as well. So, man, but we appreciate everybody coming through, man. Like I said, it's been a great show. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, man, it's just, I think we have to, with all these hires, kind of let them play out. We're all quick to rush to judgment, and that's what we do as fans. We want to react quickly, but let's give the guys some time. Let's not rush to judgment on them. Let's not have the pitchforks out the first sign that they pick a guy that we don't like or they make a hire that we don't agree with. Let's give them time. Let's let these dudes cook, and hopefully, the final meal is something that we can all enjoy.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to see how the staff fills out too as well. Like, who's going to be the OC? Who's going to be, a lot like the O-line, because obviously from the OC down, it's going to be a domino effect of who's going to be hired next. But that OC spot is going to be hired. I'm going to see, and we're going to find out if Patrick Graham comes back. There's a possibility he might leave. So we're going to find that out soon. Hopefully next time we go live, we'll be celebrating and talking about what the next moves are. But yeah, like I said, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to hit the like button. I'm gonna go ahead and do this every time, man. Every time you hear the ping sound, hit the like button. You're just gonna see hella thumbs just appear on the screen like this. Hit the like button, y'all, man. I really appreciate y'all coming through and watching. But part of watching is just supporting as well, and how you support is hitting the like button. If you're watching on Severe's channel, make sure to hit the like button on his channel and subscribe as well, and hit that notification bell, man. Hey, look, I think the thing right is that time, man. It's that time. It's time to go, y'all, man. Look at this. The screen is messing up on us right now, but like I said, we appreciate everybody coming through. Till next time, peace.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Believe that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.